everyone, welcome back to Bike TV. Today we are starting part one of a four-part series I'm calling Project Greenway. Project Greenway is going to document my return to fitness, and the end goal is to ride the Greenway loop around the city of Calgary, which is more or less 150 to 160 kilometers. So let's just call it a proper century. And to do that ride sometime mid to late August. And so why August? So at the end of August will be 2 years for me of being sober and quitting drinking for a number of reasons, but mostly it was a health problem. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's step back a bunch. So back in 2015, 2016, let's say, the City of Calgary and the Calgary Parks Foundation embarked on this bold plan to create a pathway that would more or less circumnavigate the city. In 2017 was the first time that I attempted it, and not to say that I was the first one, but I was definitely one of the first handful of people to attempt to do the whole loop, and was successful with perhaps a bit of fence hopping and riding on the ring road because sections of the trail just weren't there. The ride itself took me somewhere almost around 7 hours, and it was felt like a really great accomplishment, and it was a pretty cool ride. Fast forward a couple of years to 2019 was when the next time I attempted the loop and was able to do the loop about a half an hour faster. And part of that was that quite a bit of the pathway network was completed that wasn't there before. Though anybody that's done this ride will know that attempting this route does involve some navigation and pieces that are of the pathway that aren't still built or are missing or under construction. But 2019 was the last time that I'd done this ride, and that was 5 years ago. The year after that was 2020, and we all know what happened then, and that was COVID. And so 2020 was kind of a crazy year, lots of individual riding, not much in the way of traveling. Not much going on really. If we all look back, it was kind of a weird time for sure, and very difficult, and lots of people got sick and left us. 2021 was actually kind of a defining year for me in the sense that I suffered an internal injury that took a really long time to diagnose, and it really kept me off my bike because it was just too painful to ride. And without getting too into the details, more or less what it was is I had more or less like a laceration or a perforation in my GI tract, and the pain was unbelievable, and it would basically flare up where I couldn't really ride, or I could ride a little bit, but the pain would come and go to the point where I just couldn't make any plans. Sometimes had to bail on rides that I had planned, and it was a really challenging time for me. So in 2021, 2022, there was an awful lot of me not riding and trying to really figure out what had happened to myself, and trying to solve the problem. And in 2022 was when I realized that alcohol was a really big problem, in the sense that any time that I would drink alcohol, it would exacerbate the pain and the problem that I was experiencing, and so it was in 2022, in August 2022, that I decided to quit drinking, with the hope that it would help alleviate some of the symptoms I was experiencing and allow me to start to live kind of a normal life. Quitting drinking in the bike business is kind of an interesting thing. You know, there was a really great article written a number of years ago in Bicycling, where the author wrote about how the bike community or bike culture maybe has a bit of a problem with alcohol, and it was really interesting to read that, because reading it just hit so many nerves for me in all the years that I'd been riding a bike, and I just couldn't stop reflecting on that article after I had read it. Yeah, end of summer 2022, I had quit drinking, and was hoping that that would help kind of move things along. That takes us into 2023, And in 2023 was kind of a tough year for me personally, again, in the sense that there was basically moving our bike shop from our old location to this new location. And so really no plans or riding was happening because of all the preparations required to make that move happen in a fashion that didn't have our shop closed for weeks and weeks and weeks. And so 2023, I hardly rode at all. I actually only went bike camping one time for one night, and it was in September of last year. And while that was a very nice night out, it was interesting to only be out that one time when for the many of the years previously I'd spent many nights in tents and many nights bike packing. So that brings us here to 2024. And in 2024, we're in our big new space, which is quite lovely, and it's been great to be here. My health has improved. I've been able to was able last year to get in with a specialist to figure out what had actually happened to me, and have been on the recovery train since then, which is wonderful. I'm feeling, let's say 90% back to normal, but still have some bad days. But the bad days are far fewer and aren't as bad. So I'm very, very thankful that I am where I am today. So there was quite a few things converging, to me wanting to do this series of videos. Also, one of them. So another part of this video was that I had assembled this lovely Omnium CXC titanium last year to do on to ride as basically my road bike, but my mid-50s dad bod was not really cooperating with this teeny tiny head tube here, and I just can't make this bike fit me very comfortably. So I thought, okay, let's build up a new bike that's going to be more comfortable. So there's that. That's kind of one thing that is part of this video series. The second part of this series is training to get back in shape to attempt the Greenway ride. Having that injury and all these challenges for the last 3 years has really affected my physical ability. I just don't feel that. I feel okay on the bike right now, but I don't have the distance in me that I used to be able to do. So I thought we would document some of the training rides that I would go on to build towards that goal of attempting the Greenway, and not just attempting it and finishing it, but finishing it and enjoying it. And then the third part was to set the goal of doing the Greenway at the 2-year anniversary for me being sober, and to show you guys what it's like to work towards a big goal. And 160K may not seem like much to some people, but to me, that's a pretty big ride. So we'll have a few different videos coming, so 4-part series. The next video in the series will be me taking apart the Omnium and replacing it with this beautiful Soma Smoothie HP, beautiful steel frame, has a much taller head tube. And all the parts that I've got on my bike will swap right onto this really nicely. So I'm hoping that this bike's going to be really comfortable for me and allow me to be very efficient and enjoy my goals. Part 3 will be documenting some of the training riding that I'll be doing. So doing some riding here in the city, and perhaps if conditions are great, some riding out in the Bow Valley. And then part 4 will be the big ride itself, doing the Greenway in August. I've also set like a little bit of a semi-extra goal, if I'm feeling good at the end of the Greenway, to tackle my first 200K ride in maybe 30 years. So if things go well, then there'll be a bonus edition of me aiming for a 200K ride. So thanks for watching, and part 2 will be coming up really soon as we do the build of the Soma Smoothie. Happy trails.